Welcome back, John and Maria Hoffman at Tampa Home Group at Keller Williams, New Tampa. So Maria, at this time of the year, we see the inventory increase, but we also see the pendings increase, and we actually start to see a little bit of a bump in pricing every year. Do you agree?
Yeah, it's a seasonal phenomena. I was looking at last year at the best months where we saw the most pendings in the different areas, and we're heading into it. March, April,
May. Everybody watching this video in March, actually we also have a market update. We're going to be doing a deeper dive into the areas in inventory and pricing, because we always want to give our clients the best information that we can give. But the one thing that I hear, that I see on Facebook and other social media, there's a lot of these creators that are trying to let everyone think the market's going to crash. Inventory's going up. Do you see that very often?
I do. I think they're just trying to get you to click.
You know what?
They're grabbing your attention.
Because none of them ever have any good news, do they? It's always, the world's going to end when
But it makes you click on it, doesn't it?
But it makes you click on it. So why don't we do this? Let's show everybody what the experts are thinking.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Let's look at it.
Well, as you can see in the 2025 home appreciation forecast, you've got Wells Fargo at 4.5%, CoreLogic, Redfin, Realtor.com. They all have certain percentages starting at 4.5 all the way down to 0.06. There's only two that think that the market might be dropping, and that's Moody Analytics at 0.4 and Morgan Stanley at less than 2%.
Going down. They see the market
going down. But it's overwhelming that everyone believes that there's going to be appreciation year over year. Now, the interesting thing about that is that while the inventory is definitely going up, the number of solds month over month so far this year and going into the end of last year are all the same. So there's definitely a pent-up demand for real estate in the greater Tampa market. And I really don't see that we're going to find much of a depreciation in values at all. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. We talked about, you and I were just at Keller Williams Family Reunion, and Gary Keller talked about the average annual home appreciation over history is about 4%. So if you look back at history, it's typically going up, and this is more of a normal year. And some people think it's going to be more than others, but I don't see it going down.
No, I agree. You know what I did? I did Saturday and Sunday, the 1st and 2nd of March. I went and toured new construction and spoke to a bunch of reps. And what I'm seeing is there's a lot of internal pressure on builders to cut back on their incentives to get people to buy. So what they're doing is that the builders have been giving rate buy downs, 3.99, 4.99, and up to $25,000 of free money for closing costs and prepaids. So the interesting thing is that this has been going on for a while, but it's been costing the home builders 10.2% of purchase price. So if you bought a $600,000 new construction, that builder was giving you $60,000 in the rate buy downs and other incentives, and that's going away.
Okay.
And I think the main reason
they can't do it forever.
Well, it's the major builders that publicly traded, they all dropped 30 to 35% in their stock values in the fourth quarter last year. And so there's a lot of pressure. So I went to visit the builders, Maria, and this one builder told me that because the rates are going down, which they have since
they have come down. Rates have come down.
In the middle of January, the rates were about 7.1% with no points, and right now they're about 6 3/4 with no points. And so the builder's rep told me if those rates continue to drop, they're going to be raising their pricing. The thought process is your payment's going to go down so you can afford more. But any buyer that is thinking about wanting new construction or wanting a better interest rate, better do it in the first quarter this year.
I would agree 100%. This would be the time to take advantage of a lot of these incentives that have been out there that aren't going to be there forever. So
No, and the 3.99% you can only find in Apollo Beach, Gibsonton area. Up here, it's 4.99. Some builders are now at 5.25, but you're going to have to pay a point or a point and a half, but they're still going to give you $15,000-$20,000 towards your closing costs, which you can use for a rate buy down. But make no doubt about it, the amount of the incentives that builders are offering is definitely going away. And that window is going to shut. Now, do you know the good news of that?
What's that?
If you're a resale, you're going to have a little bit more attention to your home because the desirability of new construction with all that rate buy down and the money going away is going to make maybe resales a little bit more attractive because generally, you know, apples to apples, a resale is going to sell for a little bit less than new construction.
Yeah, so that's good news for sellers with a resale, that if these incentives go away or taper down, it's going to put them in a better position than they've been last year.
No, I agree. Yeah. You know, it's the market's always changing, right? What the builders are doing, what resales are doing, what the interest rates are doing, what the inventory is doing, and where is the pressure? Is the pressure downward? Is the pressure now starting to come upward? And so that's the advantage of working with very experienced realtors that can get people through this process. Because, you know, I was just thinking the other day, 10, 15 years ago, real estate was completely different than it is today, in my opinion. It's, you know, you used to have, say in New Tampa, for example, you know, 10, 20 realtors that did a lot of business.
Yeah.
And that was pretty common throughout. And now with these cloud-based businesses like EXP and other, there's really no offices and people work out of their house and there's not a lot of training. There's a lot of agents that are newer to the business that are just, you know, out there.
Yeah, I would agree. There's a chunk of the real estate profession that really doesn't have a lot of experience, and they're not getting a lot of training. They're not getting a lot of guidance.
Well, the 10 to 20 agents
working out of their home.
The agents that did a lot of business in an area, there's not as many, right? And so, but then you've got these big teams. And like, you know, Zillow Flex, for example, you know, these teams can have 50, 75. I've got a friend of mine, he's got over 100 agents in his Zillow Flex, but you know, their average transaction count per agent is only 7.
Okay.
And you're not going to get a lot of experience if you're doing 5 or 6 or 7 transactions a year. But most buyers and sellers don't know that. They don't know what questions to ask.
Yeah.
And which can lead to a problem, which could lead to a buyer overpaying or not getting the house because they think the value is less than it actually is. So what do you tell people, you know, what they should do as far as interviewing? Because we just saw that 78% of buyers work with the first agent they talk to.
Yeah, you're right. It's the vast majority, and I couldn't encourage people more to just take the time to interview the agent that you're working with, and that agent should take the time to do a full buyer consultation, to ask you questions, to find out about your needs, your goals. And when you find a great buyer's agent, you know, they're not trying to sell you one particular home, they're trying to find the right thing for you. And so some of the changes in the market with this settlement now since August of 2024 is that buyers, because they have to have an agreement with their agent, it's a natural process that they can take that time and interview their agent.
So what you're saying and what buyers should consider doing, or I think they should definitely do, when we go get a listing, quite often we're competing against 1 or 2 other agents.
Yeah, sometimes.
And so the sellers are going to interview and talk about marketing and what are you going to do and what's your expertise, because they're signing a contract usually for 6 months where that listing agent is in charge of selling that house.
Yeah.
And only that agent is the one that's going to be in charge of selling that house.
Right.
Make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So now with the new buyer broker agreement, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's for a buyer's agent and a buyer. So buyers should probably interview 1, 2, 3 agents, sit down with them. What are you going to do for me? Share with me your experience, how many transactions you've been involved in, how do you negotiate, determine valuations, and what is your knowledge of the purchase contract?
Absolutely. Those are all great questions that a buyer should be asking their agent. But, I'd pay attention and make sure the agent is asking you questions as a buyer. They should be listening to you and really understanding your needs, your wants, your family. And that's an important part of the process. So 2 parts, right? You want to ask your agent questions and you want them to be asking you and taking the time to listen.
So it's a partnership.
It's a partnership.
Right. Mm-hmm. And when you're a buyer and you want to work with the buyer's agent, you want to make sure that they've got a lot of knowledge.
Absolutely.
They better provide value to you, because that's probably going to be the biggest investment you're making for a 5-7 year period.
Yeah. There's a lot of research out there. The number one thing that buyers are actually looking for from their agents is they're looking for market knowledge. So I know here we're constantly studying the market every day. We're looking at these numbers.
But you know what? But there's not a checklist for buyers to ask agents what they know or their experience. They don't have the questions to ask.
Yeah.
So, for example,
why don't we come up with a list of questions?
Well, we certainly can.
We could do that.
What is a dysfunctional floor plan?
Yeah.
What is the difference between builder A, B, and C? Which builder you might not want to go with because they've got quality control issues? What is a bad lot? Right? And so all of these things buyers don't know to ask their agent, for the most part. And then, we had last year someone contact us to sell their house. There wasn't as much equity as I thought they should have had based on they've owned it for 4 years. And when we went back and looked at the numbers, they overpaid for this house by $50,000.
Yikes. Yeah. Wish we would have known them then before they bought that home.
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing, is that right now with the inventory building up, even the best listings, like we put 3 on the market on February 28th, 27th, and one of them we've got 2 offers on. We call it highest and best, and the best listings that are prepared correctly, in the best shape, all the negatives removed, that the pricing makes sense, get a tremendous amount of activity.
Absolutely.
The first week.
Yeah, it's exciting. My phone was ringing all weekend. That's all I know.
So at the end of it all is that what we're going to do is we're in the spring market. So March, April, and the first half of May tend to be the months where we have the most homes go under contract.
I would agree.
And that's mostly because people are moving because of schools.
Yeah. And so the thing is, if you're out there and you're thinking, okay, I want to be on the market and I want to move by the summer, this is the time that we need to be taking action. I mean, right now, because most people have a to-do list, they have things that they need to complete. And so don't wait. This is the time.
No, we know that. And then you're going to get into the summer and the inventory starts to build up again, and the number of transactions drops a little bit. But then you start to see a pickup a little bit in the fall. And this is very cyclical. The cycle that we're in right now is a normal market for us.
Yeah.
And the overall inventory on our market is a little bit higher than it was pre-COVID, but we're still averaging around 5 months of inventory.
Yeah.
That's the absorption rate. And that's called a neutral market, right? So when you're in a neutral market, you will see some appreciation. It would have to become a significant buyer's market, which is approximately, I think, 7, 8, 9 months of inventory. Right now, throughout the area, we are right at 5 on average. So it's a neutral market. It's a healthy market. As far as I'm concerned, I don't see a big depreciation in pricing coming anytime soon. And if you're out there as a buyer, or you think you want to become a buyer, you might want to do something now while the builders are still offering those lower interest rates.
Yeah, they might be going away.
They might be. So anything else you want to talk about?
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited for this spring. It's a great market, and we're super busy. So.
And anybody out there watching, if there's any topics you'd like us to talk about, or you have any suggestions, or you want our personal opinion on your personal real estate needs, We're always available at 813-907-2555, and we'll talk to you next month. Make it a great year.